Sage CRM has exceptionally strong functionality when it comes to process automation. We often use the expression workflow within Sage CRM, but that means different things to different people. In this short video, I'm going to talk about what it means to me, describe some of the key benefits, what does it look like, and specifically, what's involved in making this happen and how do you get started? Firstly, workflow. I'm talking about how information progresses through your system, whether that's an individual colleague and how they move their jobs along, or how departments interact with one another. Sage CRM is a fantastic system for creating structure. So here's just a different image where I've got different departments and how do they work together. Using Sage CRM, we can create a systematic approach to managing how it all happens. The key benefits you see when you do this include transparency, accountability, lots of efficiencies, and of course, changes in behavior. What does it look like? Well, behind the scenes, so not what the user sees, but as an administrator, we have these different workflows. This is just a picture. I'll show you more in a second, but it's like a Visio diagram. How does information go from department A to department B or through a different cycle? But there's more to it than that. We have workflow, we have escalations, and always for these projects, we tie it all together using Sage CRM's dashboarding features. From a user perspective, this is what they might see. This is just a simple example, but over in the bottom right-hand corner, you will see actions, these green buttons. And you might also see information messages at the top of the screen informing the user how they're meant to proceed or what their next options at least could be. But it's very important to understand that everybody's is different. While Sage CRM ships with some default workflows, those shouldn't be used. That's a rookie mistake. You can either modify them or you can create new ones. The major takeaway is that the workflow engine or the workflow rules should be specific to the individual company. I've opened up a Sage CRM instance. I've gone back behind the scenes as the administrator and I have these various workflows. We can always create new ones. If I go into an existing one, you'll see that it's that tree. And these green buttons here, these are those green rules that the user sees. If I go into any one of those rules, it's comprised often of JavaScript conditions and what we refer to as actions. The actions can be an email that goes out or a field that updates or a field that maybe presents itself for display or for editing. But the options you have are very open-ended. You can see here from this palette of choices we have, we can do pretty much anything to help you structure your system. I've brought up one of our project workbooks and I've gone to one of the tabs called Workflow. This is where we document with you and ultimately blueprint how your system will work. You can see that this schema here closely resembles what those workflow trees look like in Sage CRM. So in the course of our weekly meetings, we will find out exactly what your system needs to do. We've got the schema, but then also if I go over to the right, I've got the details at any individual rule, what happens, what information message displays, what actions happen. It can be very, very involved. While we will ultimately have something like this for any one of our projects that requires this functionality, just keep in mind that this is the outcome of several weeks of learning and documenting. Our approach, of course, is to have those weekly 1-hour calls with the client to find out exactly what they need. Once we've built this out, after a couple weeks, we can start building it in Sage CRM and testing. But at the very onset, what we want the client to do, this is the most efficient way to move forward, is just to, in point form, document what they feel their process is. What information is collected at the various stages of whatever cycle they're trying to manage. Even better, if several people on the client side can each take a stab at this, if they all independently go and in point form, this is how it works, and then they regroup, they will get a much clearer picture of what the steps of their cycle actually are. And then from that, it becomes much easier to map it all out and then build it inside of Sage CRM.